How it works with TikTok is you want to back up what's already working. It's all about amplification. So you're not going to go, right, I'll put some spend behind this video because it's not working. It's different. You want to back up what is working and get it out there even more. And so that's one thing that we're finding with businesses is that it's backing what's working, as in what affiliates are working, what shoppable videos are working as well. And the key thing here is, again, which you'll know from Amazon, is data. Data is key here. It's really looking at the data and understanding what's working, what isn't working, and most important, what you should be pushing more as well. So just a bit of a start, as in, for those that don't know who I am, are probably thinking, why is this lady talking about TikTok Shop today? So my background is very much, I've been in the e-commerce space for over 20 years. My career started at Amazon in 2004, and basically it's just evolved with Amazon and in e-commerce as a whole, and moving over to social commerce as well. So very much spent 7 years at Amazon working in vendor management, and have spent the last 14 or odd years supporting brands selling on Amazon, and most recently in the last 2 years extended, and we've started as an agency supporting TikTok Shop. So have learned lots in the last 2 years. 2 years doesn't feel like much, but when we talk about TikTok Shop, it is actually a long time in terms of what's been going on and the changes, and just really understanding what it takes to succeed as a brand on TikTok Shop. And more importantly, I'm guessing a number of you are sellers or vendors on Amazon. So what does that mean when you start selling on TikTok Shop? Because it is a completely different beast. So what I'm going to cover off today is why TikTok Shop plays by different rules. So it's not a pick up what you're doing on Amazon and put it over to TikTok Shop. That's completely, as I say, it's a different beast, and there's a different strategy and way of working required. So I will go on to talking about the TikTok Shop versus Amazon. But most importantly, when I talk about that, talking about ROI and why that looks different on both platforms, what success looks like on TikTok Shop, and then focusing on what I call the key 4 pillars, talking about content, affiliates, ads, and live shopping. And then what a strong TikTok Shop setup looks like as well. So first off, if we talk about TikTok Shop, now, the key thing to highlight with TikTok Shop is that it's discovery first. Your people are coming onto TikTok Shop because they want to be entertained. They're not coming onto TikTok Shop to make a purchase, or they think they're not coming onto TikTok Shop to make a purchase. What ends up being is a completely different story. So they start off being entertained. And that can be, and then what happens is it's almost that thing of hashtag TikTok made me buy it. People are drawn in, they are entertained, and then next minute they know they've discovered a product they never thought they were going to purchase, weren't interested in, and they've made that purchase there and then. And the great thing about TikTok Shop is that the commerce is native to the platform. And what I mean by that is the customer doesn't need to go externally to another website to make that purchase. They're making that purchase there and then. And once they've made that first purchase that they might be a bit nervous about, first of all, of not knowing TikTok Shop, they're often hooked, because what ends up happening is the whole commerce platform is like Amazon. It's very convenient. It's easy to shop. And then you'll find more and more customers are starting to now purchase on TikTok Shop like they do on Amazon. Now, the key thing here with TikTok as well is that people buy from people. And so it's all about creating content. It's creating content where you've got creators that are demonstrating the product, highlighting the product, and really talking authentically about the product, which is really driving sales on TikTok Shop. It's all about community. So it's not like Amazon, where it's very much about customers coming onto Amazon. They already know what they're looking for. It's very static. TikTok is very, very dynamic. And so what you're finding is that brands are seeing, they're able to kind of create that desire and create that intent, as opposed to wanting to just surface when a customer's actually searching for the product that they're selling. So if we talk about and sort of making those comparisons with TikTok versus Amazon, Amazon is a very transactional website. So customers are going onto Amazon, they know what they're searching for or might have an idea what they're searching for, but the intent is they're going onto Amazon to make a purchase or to at least find something and probably put it in the shopping basket until they next go onto Amazon to actually make that final purchase. Whereas TikTok Shop is social commerce. So there's two things there. Yes, there's commerce, which means there's some transactional element, but it's also social as well. So that's where brands are not only selling on TikTok, they're also creating awareness, that entertainment piece. So there's that division there. So it's not purely transactional. And so the reason why I highlight that there is because it's the ROI is something that's really important that brands understand. And I speak with so many brands that go, we're not seeing the same results on TikTok Shop as we do on Amazon. And the key reason is because it's not Amazon. It's not a purely transactional website. It's also social commerce. It's social as well. So there's an element where you're creating brand awareness on TikTok, but there's also a part where customers are making the purchase. Now, a key thing there to highlight is that you can't just look at TikTok Shop in isolation when looking at results, because chances are the awareness that you've created on TikTok then ends up being a purchase on Amazon or a purchase on your direct-to-consumer website. So that's something that is really fundamental. And the reason why I kind of hone down on that as a key point is because we see so many brands go, right, I'm going to come onto TikTok Shop, test the water, don't see that direct or that same ROI, and then go, right, I'm out of TikTok. And then next minute we know, lo and behold, sales are down on Amazon, sales are down on the direct consumer website because of the awareness that TikTok created. So I think that's something that's really important to highlight whilst talking about the differences with the platform. And as I mentioned earlier on, TikTok drives discovery. It also drives sales as well. But ultimately, first of all, you're building that brand awareness, and it is a great opportunity to build brand and product awareness and accelerate that, and also make those sales as well. So what success actually looks like on TikTok Shop. So first of all, content. Content is key. So we always say content is king. So it's really important that you're focusing on creating your own content on your own TikTok channel. And it's content that's authentic and relatable. We're not talking about polished content, which I know for some brands, I find it very difficult, not being so used to making everything look polished. And even on Instagram, content looks pretty polished. On TikTok, what sells is sometimes, to brands' dismay, some really raw, authentic content that you wouldn't think or wouldn't necessarily want to see up for your brand, but it's selling. And that's because it's coming from people and individuals that are actually talking about the product that they can relate to. They're like, do you know what? That person talking about that item and that product is just like the person, just like a friend telling me about that product, and they can relate to it and really understand it. And the other thing with TikTok Shop and success, it's not only the authentic content, but it's consistency. So it's all about, if you're going to go into TikTok and you want to create content and you're going to start building it, make sure you're ready to do that. Because the last thing that you want to do is go, okay, let's go onto TikTok. Oh, we've only got enough to build content for the next 10 days. And then you stop for a month. And then you jump back on it and then you stop. You want to be posting consistently. And we typically say post once a day. You want to create that consistency. The algorithm TikTok needs to start getting those signals. It needs that history. It needs to know who's engaging with your content to make sure that it starts in the future, starts putting your content in front of the viewers that are going to relate to the content. So that is something that's really important. Not only is it about creating your own content, and I'll come into more specifics with this, what you also have is affiliates and ads. And that's really important to go into that, because that's going to expand your audience, because it's not about creating only your own content. It's also going into tapping into other people's accounts, because you're creating content for your TikTok account. But then if you work with somebody else, they've got their own TikTok account, they've got their own audience, and it's just a way of expanding further and further. And I always say affiliates, and as I say, I'm going to come into affiliates in a bit more detail shortly, but affiliates on TikTok Shop, for me, and how I view it, is like ads on Amazon. You can't function ads. You're not going to get the discoverability and get that kickstart when you're, especially when you're new to the platform on Amazon, if you don't run ads. The same happens on TikTok Shop. You're not going to get that discoverability. You're not going to get out there with the audience unless you tap into affiliates. And so that's something that I'll come on to a little bit more detail in terms of the functionality of that. And really, when the other part, which is the success for TikTok Shop, is that you've got to build it into your e-commerce strategy. And like I was saying earlier about the halo effect, you don't want to launch TikTok Shop in isolation. You've got to understand that TikTok Shop is almost going to boost your awareness and your sales on other channels as well. So it all needs to be aligned in terms of your activity, because chances are, I mean, we're seeing this with a lot of brands that are like, okay, well, we know we need to spend a lot on ads on Amazon, but actually how else can we help accelerate traffic onto Amazon? People are using TikTok Shop, and people are or TikTok, and people are creating their own content, but also tapping into affiliates. So it's really important that you're understanding how TikTok sits with your whole e-commerce strategy as well. And then the ultimate part is test, learn, and adjust. And we see it so many times where brands say to us, well, when should we post? What should we post, etc. It varies for every single brand. And you've just got to really start testing and seeing what kind of content is your audience engaging with, who's engaging, what times are working well. And that's all about just being open to learning, because it is a platform with that data. And the great thing is about TikTok is you can learn pretty quick because it's real time. And so you're starting to see straight away, you post a video, you know whether if it's gonna go. You can see that straight away. It's not like you go on 7 days later and go, did that video work? Results are immediate. So content is the starting point to being running your business on, or opening an account on TikTok Shop. Now, when I talk about content right now, I'm talking about creating your own content for your own channel. And I want to be clear on that, because there's two ways when people talk about content. You can talk about creating content that another creator creates content on your products, but they're sharing the content on their own TikTok channel, right? So that's what we call the affiliate side. You've then got content that you want to create on your own channel. And it's important that you are creating content on your own channel, because effectively that's your own, think of it as your brand equity. You're creating your own following. When you start tapping into other people's channels, you're reliant on their audience. You're tapping into their audience, which is great, but that's not your following. So it's always running content on the side and creating and building up your own following, which takes time at the start, which is why there's other ways in which you can amplify that at the start as well. So it's all about creating that content, getting your products discovered through videos, through shoppable videos that are linking to your store. So customers, when they're watching the video, they can then make a direct purchase and through that video and buy from your product. And the key thing here is that content, building your own content, sometimes it's like repeatable content, and you think we're doing, not recycling, not doing the same content, but some of it feels like it is a bit repeated, but actually it builds trust. People are seeing more and more, oh, I saw that video, I saw that product the other day. And it keeps, you're kind of hammering it in to the customer, and then they keep going, and then chances are they're going to keep buying it as well. So content here is king when it comes to TikTok Shop. Now, when it comes to content, it's about short form content. So what you want, as I mentioned, is relatable content that the customer or the person watching that's entertained can relate to it. They can relate to the person talking about it. They can relate to the problem. And so, as I mentioned, people are trusting the product because it's coming from someone that's like say real life, because when you've got videos of polished videos, it's still a human, but it's just more real. It doesn't feel scripted, like they're saying it because they have to say it, for example. And it's all about having a strong hook as well. It's about getting someone's attention. They're scrolling through TikTok and it's crazy. It's straight. That first second has to grab that person. So getting that attention is really important. But as I say, that's where the testing and learning happens, is testing and seeing what are the hooks, what is capturing your attention. There's so much data there available to understand how many people were viewing your content, but how long, what was the watch time like? Because that's the part that's really important, is watch time. Because people will say, well, how long does my video need to be? It's not about the length, it's about the watch time. If you've got a 1 minute video and people are watching that full minute because it's engaging, brilliant. But if they're not, that's going to impact you. But at the same time, so yes, shorter content, chances are people are going to watch it, but it has to be engaging content as well. And that's the part where you'll start testing, looking at the analytics and really understanding what type of content is sitting with your audience and your type of product as well. Now, and then with content then feeds into affiliates, it feeds into ads and live shopping. And I'll come on to what I mean by that shortly. So I've spoken about affiliates briefly. Now, affiliates is just a great way to extend reach at speed. And what I mean by that, let's say you've just launched a TikTok shop, you've just got your TikTok account coming and you've got and you're building your following. But as I say, it takes time. So you've got this following, and yes, you post content, and that content won't just go to your following, it will go to a wider audience. But if you then work with an affiliate, and what I mean by that is TikTok have content, a way to reach out to affiliates, a content creator system. But there's also software out there where you can tap into and reach out to affiliates. And those affiliates, effectively, you're giving an affiliate a sample of your product, and some brands are giving out hundreds of samples a month. You're giving it to an affiliate, and in exchange, they are creating content for your product and sharing that content on their channel to their audience. And in exchange, if they get a sale, they get a small commission. Now, it's a great way, if you think about it. I mean, it depends on your product and how much sample your product costs. But if you think about it, if you're sending out 100 samples to these people and these creators, and they've got an audience of 1 million, let's say, followers, you've just given one sample in exchange. You've just tapped into an audience of 1 million people. And then in exchange for that, they're getting sales. So that's even more of a win. And you're giving them a percentage commission. Now, that can vary depending on your margin. We see some brands, and depends on your price point, we see some brands giving 5%, some brands giving up to 30% maybe at the start to incentivize creators, may depend on the creator. But that is the way to extend the reach. We're seeing phenomenal results with affiliates. So that is something that's huge. And as I mentioned, there's lots of software out there that ease that process, because you've got to then find the right affiliates. You've got to make sure the affiliates are aligned with your brand as well. There's a values piece. But also, some of these affiliates that are really strong, you've got to incentivize them to want your product and actually create content over it. So it's just not because you give a free sample, is everyone going to jump on it? There's an element where you've got to really sort of learn how to communicate with the affiliates to get them to feel incentivized to then create the content for your brand as well. So there's definitely some relationship building in there with affiliates as well. And when you're doing that, you're just extending your reach. So your content creation for your own account doesn't become a bottleneck, because that's the thing. If you're having to create content in and out constantly, there's a lot of content that you need to create, even if you're posting once a day. Some businesses are posting up to 3 times a day. So affiliates just helps with that. And as I mentioned, affiliates are driven by performance-based incentives. And the key here is not being reliant on just a few affiliates. You want to have a lot of affiliates that you're tapping into, because that really de-risks if you've got one affiliate that's growing all your revenue and then that affiliate decides not to be pushing your product anymore, then you're at risk. So it's about expanding and making sure that you're sending out samples to a wider audience as well. Now, one thing that I will add as well is you can amplify that even more by actually backing up affiliates with ads. So some people are like, some brands are like, well, why do I want to spend ads on an affiliate? Well, if that affiliate is driving sales to your products and they're taking a percentage commission and they're doing really well and you can back it with a bit of ad spend, it's going to go out to even more, because clearly that affiliate has got something that's engaging people that want to purchase the product. So actually it becomes even more stronger, even backing up with some ad spend, because that affiliate knows how to sell. Effectively, it's like somebody in a shop selling your product and they know how to sell it. You want to push it even more. Which then leads me nicely onto ads as well. So you've got your content, you've got your affiliates. Ads is supporting and amplifying what's working. Now, here, this is the part that's a bit different to Amazon. Like with Amazon, you might want to run ads on new products or on new keywords, or just not necessarily how it works. Or I'll change that. How it works with TikTok is you want to back up what's already working. It's all about amplification. So you're not going to go, right, I'll put some spend behind this video because it's not working. It's different. You want to back up what is working and get it out there even more. And so that's one thing that we're finding with businesses, is that it's backing what's working, as in what affiliates are working, what shoppable videos are working as well. But you can also put ad spend behind live shopping, which I'll come on to shortly. So there's ways, you're not just pushing ads on your own content. There's ways in which you can amplify all the different activity that you're doing across TikTok as well. And the key thing here is, again, which you'll know from Amazon, is data. Data is key here. It's really looking at the data and understanding what's working, what isn't working, and most important, what you should be pushing more as well. I mentioned live. So live is an interesting one. I call it QVC or on steroids, basically. It's absolutely incredible the results people are seeing with live shopping. But at the same time, it does require a lot of resource and time. So live shopping is really great in the fact that it's real-time sales and it creates that sense of urgency. And so we're seeing it where brands are going live. Let's say they go live every evening for 2 hours and they're creating special bundles for live with limited volumes. And you can imagine it's just creating a craze by going, okay, we're going to go live tonight. And that's where they create content. So they might create content to create a hype that they're going live. They then go live, and on that live, they're then highlighting, right, we've only got 200 bundles of this at this special price. And then all of a sudden you just see this urgency, these customers purchasing the product and seeing the numbers just go. Some people are doing phenomenal revenue in just in a short window. But at the same time, it takes time. It takes time to build that, because you want to have that following to build that audience. So when it comes to going live, that following knows that you're live. Now that this is the part where it's like, I'm saying all these things and you think, oh, okay, there's a lot to do. It's almost doing it in stages. You want to start building up your content, get that consistency, get that flow, get that following. So when it comes that you've got that strong following, then live starts to kick in as well. I mean, some brands have done it the other way around, but we often find you want to start getting a base there, because there's a lot to do on TikTok, and it's what do you do at first when you're launching on the platform? Getting comfortable with posting that consistent content is something that's key initially. So live works really well when it's done regularly, and it also finding someone that's comfortable on camera, of course. And you'll find that you might want to test different hosts, because some hosts, we've seen it with different hosts, some people, depending on your audience, might relate to a certain host more than another. So that's, again, when you start looking at data, you start seeing who's engaging more. And it's like this with your content creators. You'll find you've got some content creators that are smashing it on one brand, might not necessarily on another, because it's how the customers are engaging for that product with that. The audience varies, basically. And it's fascinating when you look at that with all the data, which is so important. So it's shopping is definitely something we're seeing results. It doesn't mean that it has to be done from day one. And it's all, again, this is all about learning. It's about with live shopping, it's doing it at the right time. And you can do it in different ways. Like people think live shopping, you need this amazing studio, you need everything. We're seeing it where people are doing live shopping in their warehouse. They're packing, and as they're packing, they're chatting to the camera, which we've seen be really effective. We see people doing live shopping in their home, putting a green screen in the back and just putting their brand. Like you would be amazed, like the setup. People think, oh, it's a huge setup, it's going to cost X, Y, and Z. No, that's where it comes down to the authenticity and doing it real. You don't need all these polished setups to make live and that effective either. The most important part is that you're building trust with your audience, and that comes through the consistent content that you're creating and that authenticity as well. So what holds brands back early on? So this really is like what stalls brands from being able to move and accelerate on the platform is often what we see is brands are treating TikTok Shop like a traditional marketplace. And what I mean by that is they're focusing on TikTok Shop on a product SKU level as opposed to content. Like I had this conversation with a brand the other day. We were basically putting together a costing for them in terms of managing their TikTok Shop business. And they were like, well, but if we do less products, can the price come down? And it was like, well, no, it's not about the products with TikTok Shop. You still are creating the same amount of content every day. You know, TikTok Shop is all about content. Yes, you're going to have a certain SKU count in your shop, but you're not, it's very different from Amazon where it's very product based. With TikTok, it's very different. And actually what we're finding is even more dynamic is that what we do is sometimes you see a product doing well, you create a bundle and you can create a bundle really quickly. And then all of a sudden that starts selling, which I mentioned bundles with live. You can play around with your SKUs and have fun with them as well and see what's working based. But most importantly, the key part here is products are not driving your TikTok, it's your content that's driving it. So brands expect like instant results. As I said, it needs time. It's like when you talk about Amazon and ads needs time. Ads takes time because it's trying to look at historical data. Without historical data, it doesn't know how to work. And that's the same with the algorithm with TikTok. It needs to understand how people are engaging with your content, etc. And again, you know, as I mentioned, this whole polished brand part, that's sometimes hard for brands that are so used to creating polished content, especially some real, you know, the brands that you'll find that have been going for years and in the retailers and everything can probably been spending millions on TV advertising and everything with all the polished, and then next minute it's like, oh, you don't need polished content. That is a real shift. And then sometimes you know, I mentioned about ads, backing ads on what's working rather than going, right, we're going to put ads into everything or this isn't working. It's actually give it time, see what is working and then back up and amplify what is working as well. And you need to have that volume of, you need to have that content there. As I say, posting once a week isn't going to be effective. And also if you're only working with a couple of affiliates, that's not going to be effective either. So it's all about volume here. And also one important thing, it's not about chasing going viral, because you could go viral, great. But is that video that's gone viral, did it go viral for the right reason? Because people are really interested in purchasing your item? Or is there something funny that was non-relevant to your product that made the video go viral? So that's one thing is don't focus on that, you know, going viral. You need to make sure that your content is relatable to that to the audience that they're then going to want to make a purchase. I talked earlier also about halo effect, which I won't spend time on this, but I think, as I mentioned, just always make sure that when you're looking at the success of TikTok, that you don't just look at the platform in isolation. Always remember that what you're doing on TikTok is going to have an impact on other channels as well. So you might find that you'll see an increase in sales on your website, on Amazon, etc. So there's more and more data becoming available, and Srinath will come on to that in terms of API feeds that are coming from TikTok that just start helping us analyze and understand, and it's trying to correlate that with Amazon data, etc. We often find it funny when the Amazon team's like, yeah, we've seen really phenomenal sales on Amazon, etc. And they forget about, well, you just did X on TikTok. So it's really important that if you as a brand are listening and you've got separate teams, your teams need to be talking and you need the data to be talking, because you just really need to understand what's working and isn't working, and how it's all impacting all your other channels as well. So just to summarize, in terms of what a strong TikTok shop setup looks like, is having a clear content strategy. So being clear on what your hooks are, how you're going to sell the brand, your storytelling. It's going to be tapping into affiliate partnerships, boosting what's working with ads, going into live shopping when the time is right for you as a brand. Also, operational readiness, which we haven't spoken about on the TikTok shop. It's kind of the fundamentals that you would have on Amazon. Always making sure that you're in stock, you've got the inventory, because the last thing that you want is to drive and get those sales and next minute you're out of stock, because that's not going to help. That's going to almost put you back to square one. Positive customer experience, really important as well. So those fundamental basics that you have on Amazon apply here on TikTok shop as well. And TikTok shop are just like Amazon in terms of being strict on certain targets and metrics that you need to meet, and standards as well. So it's really important that you stick to them. And as I've sort of probably gone on quite a bit, is it's that ongoing testing and learning as well. So there's lots there, but there's definitely huge opportunity when it comes to TikTok shop. It's an exciting platform, and I'm just excited to see what happens in 2026, which leads me nicely on to Srinath, who's got things to talk about in terms of what's happening with Intentwise for 2026 in TikTok shop.
Karina, thank you so much. I feel like I was in a classroom taking notes. You got so many questions, so I will not get too much in the way of those questions. I think I'm seeing the audience, a number of your existing Intentwise clients, but there's also folks that are not clients yet. So I'll take a moment to just share with you who we are and what problems are we solving. If you're a brand or an agency today, there is this what I call a deluge of data coming from all these platforms. And there's a real need to understand both what is happening within channel, connecting advertising and retail signals together, on shopper signals together, but also cross-platform. There's a number of questions already. How do you connect Amazon performance with TikTok performance, with Shopify performance? The reality, though, is these signals are very fragmented, and it makes it difficult to answer those questions. And that's exactly the problem we are after. We have automated the collection of signals from multiple different channels: Amazon, Walmart, Instacart, Criteo. I'm going to talk about what we're doing with TikTok in a moment. We collect it, we harmonize the data, stitch it together, and then we work with brands and agencies in a few ways. One is there's a number of brands and agencies that consume our data pipes. There is a number of brands and agencies that consume our analytics, dashboards, so on and so forth. And we also custom build things for these clients. We also have optimization solutions, specifically ad optimization. So those are the things we do. We have some exciting updates on the TikTok front. TikTok measurement and also tying TikTok to your existing channels is a big focus for us. We have taken the first couple of steps, which is we now have connected and are collecting data for the TikTok ads as well as TikTok shop. We are working through the affiliates API to get that data set as well. And while I walk through this, if you're interested, just join our waitlist. Rolando or Kenton, please share the link to join the waitlist in the chat. Here's a quick view or dashboard we already have for TikTok ad performance. This is a view for GMV Max campaigns. If you go to the next slide, Karina. Yeah, so this is more detailed view of performance down to the campaign level. We also are bringing in, like I said, TikTok shop data. So if you go to the next slide, so you can see performance of TikTok shop down to the product level. If you go to the next slide, and also understand kind of just overall status of where products are at the moment. And another slide gives you another visual of the view. This is by product. And the work we are doing now is connecting TikTok with Amazon to start correlating and understand causality of impact of one over the other. And there's a lot that's going to be coming from us in the near future. But if any of this sounds interesting and we could solve a problem for you, again, please join the waitlist. And the link should be in the chat window. Over to you, Karina.
I was muted. I love that actually, because as you say, it is fragmented at the moment. So the fact that you're bringing that all together, and that's what you'll find when you are working with TikTok Shop to start with. You've got data coming from affiliates, you've got data from shop, you've got data coming from the ads and your TikTok marketing channel, and it's bringing that all together. So the more over time, that's what we're going to see, and we could see in 2026 is there's more APIs that TikTok have opened up the doors more, that which allows that, which is super exciting, because the more data that you have, the more you can get smarter with not only what you're doing on TikTok, but as we say, across all channels. I know we're coming on to questions. For those that are listening and they're thinking, well, who is e-commerce nurse? So e-commerce nurse, basically, I am the CEO and founder of e-commerce nurse, and we are an e-commerce growth agency. So our primary focus has always been working on Amazon, partly because of my background being I've been in the Amazon space for over 20 years, worked at Amazon. But as you can hear that we've gone into TikTok, and there's a lot of experience now that we have on the TikTok shop side of things. So we are an agency where we support brands on the Amazon side. We also support brands on TikTok Shop as well. So we've helped many brands when it comes to Amazon, on Vendor Central, Seller Central, driving growth on that platform. And we're doing now the same on TikTok Shop. And the key thing here, I think, just want to highlight is that these are two separate teams. We haven't picked up our Amazon team and put them into the TikTok team. It's completely different, partly down to the platforms function different. And I wanted to highlight that, because if you have an internal team and you're assuming that Amazon team will do the same as you and work on your TikTok, I would say rethink that strategy, because you need a different team. It's more your socials team that are going to understand that, because it's all about creating content. That is going to be the key part. Creating content, that management relationship with affiliates, all of that is very different. And so that's just something I wanted to highlight as well. Now, for those that are based in the UK, as you can hear from my accent, I am based in the UK, down in London. We actually have a TikTok Shop event coming, which is TikTok Shop Connect, and it is happening next week actually. So if you are listening and you're in the UK, sign up. You can see the QR code. We've got a 2-for-1 ticket offer. We're nearly sold out. We've got an amazing lineup. We're going to be talking about everything I've mentioned today. We've got, I think, a number of people from TikTok attending, as well as software providers, etc. when it comes to support on the affiliate side, customer service. So it's definitely one to attend for those. Sorry for those that are in the US. We haven't yet made it over to your side of the pond. And for those that are also listening and thinking, right, e-commerce nurse, Karina, how can you help us with TikTok Shop? We've got some questions. Maybe some of your questions might not be answered today, or something comes up later on. If you scan this QR code, you'll go to our website. Just drop us a contact us. More than happy to jump on a call and talk. If not, you'll be able to find me on LinkedIn, Karina McLeod. I'm always there to chat and talk. As you can hear, clearly love talking about TikTok Shop. So I will hand it over now for questions.
There's so many here, so let me help here, Karina. Peter Marlenga, the question is: you mentioned you should have a lot of affiliates. What is a lot? Can you define what lot should be?
Good question. I would say I would turn that round and talk about samples. And so we recommend sending out, well, at least 50 samples a month to affiliates. But if you can send out more, better. So that's what we usually say, 50 to 300, great. When we talk to some big brands, they're sending out thousands a month. But I would say you want that. Now, if you've got an expensive product, that becomes a little bit more challenging than how many you can send out. But that should give you a gauge in terms of the affiliates is down to the amount of samples that you can send out.
Here's a more intricate question. Assuming affiliates look at TikTok Shop inventory, is there a minimum inventory threshold that we should consider assuming that these affiliates are also looking at what products have a lot of inventory and what should they put their time behind?
Good question. That's a question I haven't heard before, and I won't necessarily be able to completely answer. I think the part here with affiliates is you want to make sure, obviously, that you have enough inventory to support the affiliates and sending out samples. And if they're backing it up, yes, there is an element where if they're supporting it, that they're going to want to make sure that you haven't got a couple of they're going to get sales from it. So there is credibility there. They do Affiliates will do their homework. They're going to want to work with brands that are giving them a good incentive, but also they're going to want to work with a pro sales as well. So yes, there will be a point. I think that's a brilliant question. Whether they look at that, I wouldn't say, but if I were affiliate, I would. So it's not a direct response there. It's actually got me thinking. So whoever's asked that question, that's great. I'm going to write that down because it's definitely a good point.
Here's a question that I think is top of mind for lots of folks. This is from Andrea Chen. Andrea, how are you? Good to see you. The question, Karina, is there a way to track traffic from TikTok to Amazon? I have a point of view on that, which is there's no direct linkage. There is nothing that tracks stuff from one to the other. I think the path forward is one of doing correlation and causality analysis and understand how one is impacting the other. But I'll let you chime in.
No, I mean, that would be amazing. It's that basic part where it's fragmented. So you are making very assumption based. It's all assumption based. Like you'll look at the uplift of when you did certain activity potentially on TikTok. Did you see that on Amazon? But at the moment, no. But that would be, so if anyone, as you say, Srinath, if you can create that, that would be brilliant because that will be the answer for many people.
Yeah, I mean, I think the path we are on is, see, foundationally, you have to connect products at the individual product level on both platforms, and then start to track traffic, searches, brand searches, so on and so forth. But I think what we are doing is the foundational work of, okay, let's go collect TikTok data because we already have Amazon. Let's make sure that the product identification across platforms is clean enough where you can start to correlate things at the product level. That's the path we are on. Hopefully there's a simpler answer, but until then, we are going to stay on this path. Okay, so there's another question here, which is, I think you touched on this a little bit. It's from an anonymous attendee. Getting the separate teams talking and working together is challenging in the organization. Apparently they have a TikTok 6 with the social team, and it is challenging to get them to think of it as an Amazon multiplier. Any tips in addressing that challenge and also to get that consistency we need to actually see an ongoing impact on Amazon?
Yeah, I think the biggest challenge with many of brands, and even just with our event and sending invites out. It's very interesting, some of the responses. It's almost like, oh, thanks for the invite. We've contacted Amazon people, but they're like, that's not part of our team. Or there's this real separation and understanding of where does it sit, I think, is the ultimate part, because a lot of brands, like I mentioned, you can't pick up Amazon and assume that the Amazon skill set applies to TikTok shop. But there's also the other part where it's not just social, there's a transactional shop element. So that's where it becomes confusing, because then it's like, well, is it the socials or is it the Amazon team? Who are the people driving it? And I think it's just at the end of the day, you've got a common goal that you want to grow the brand and drive sales. So I think it really comes to making sure that you're clear and just working with the team and them seeing that actually what they're doing on TikTok is driving results. And it's a hard one, right? Because if you've got your KPIs and they've got their KPIs, but it really comes up to leadership. In terms of leadership, it should be driving that, is there should be that common goal as a business. It shouldn't be this team has their isolated KPI, etc. You should be all going. You're all one team going for the same goal. Yes, you'll have your separate areas that you're focusing on. It's definitely a challenge. So I feel your pain, but we have seen it where brands have, I think the more it evolves, the more you can see leadership involved, the more they start understanding that and bringing the teams together. We have seen structural changes and teams starting to learn to work together, because actually they're seeing they're all helping each other achieve their own individual goals at the same time.
Couple more questions, Karina, and we're I think almost on time here. So this is from Destiny Vankin. So the question is, as we first start, is it really necessary to post own media on our channel, or can we just focus on TikTok Shop?
Own media on. Oh, okay. You want to have content because if you can't sell just having a shop, because people aren't going to be able to discover find your products. You need content. The content is leading people to your shop. So that's the key part. You could list and create a TikTok shop, but you're going to need content for that. You could say, right, well, we don't want to have we're just going to work with affiliates. But again, you're creating a very reliant model on affiliates and you're not creating your own content. So, given that that is content is the engine, we would always say you want to be creating your own content for your channel.
A question from Leonard Bruno. What is your onboarding experience like for affiliates, and how do you ensure you set them up for success?
So the onboarding with affiliates, I have a team that manage that. So I'm not getting in, I haven't been in the operational day-to-day piece with affiliates. What I do know is that my team spend time really building that relationship with the affiliate. So it's not a transactional relation. It's developing, at the end of the day, it's that human interaction. It's that person buying from a person. And what we've found on the platform is that the more that you are chatting and building that rapport with your affiliates, that also helps as well, as opposed to saying, oh, this is our product, this is the percentage. That isn't necessarily going to drive them. They want to have that connection and to build it. So I would say, think of it as you're building a relationship here. It's not transactional, and just make sure that you are focused on that as well. Just because you're giving us a free sample and you're giving them X percentage doesn't mean that they're going to jump and bite your hand off for it.
Awesome. I think there's a few more questions, but perhaps those can be taken offline. Thank you for all the participation. Rolando, over to you to close this out. But I should say, amazing content, Karina. Very, very, very educational, certainly for me. too. And then, yeah, feel free to reach out to Karina if you want to follow up with her.
Yes. Thank you so much, Karina. As you can see, the chat and the Q&A was lit. So that's always a good sign. Some questions that unfortunately we couldn't get to, so we could, just reach out to us directly. We can address those or reach out to Karina at sales@ecommercenurse.com. Scan the QR code there. And there's also some links that I dropped in for you if you want to join the TikTok waitlist, or if you're ready to get started and you want to book a demo, there's a link there for you. And one final thing that I do want to share with everyone is that we want you to tune in our weekly newsletters. So next Wednesday at noon, we will have our next webinar on the critical account health metrics for Amazon agencies. So be sure to register for that. So with that, thank you everyone for tuning in. Thank you so much, Karina, for joining us, and wishing everyone a great week, rest of the week.
Amazing. Thank you. Thank you so much for the invite, and thank you everyone for listening.